Right, this is kind of an introduction to the distributive law, and you can see how things work. So this is just, okay, some major road construction, blah, 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 you can round trip mileage. You decide that to calculate it, okay, so right here, you're going to have to double the usual one-way mileage and then add in a 3-mile detour. But what if you add in the 3-mile detour first and then double the mileage? All right, so in other words, do it back to front. Okay, so if you double the usual one-way mileage, so that's the input now, remember, and then add a 3, or you're going to add 3 to the usual one-way mileage, you know, the input like the x value, and then double the result. So, okay, let's just take any number. Right, let's get on the table. Okay, let's have a look. 8. Okay, obtain the output, double the input, and then add 3. So here's the 8. If I double it, I get 16. If I add 3, I get 19. Okay? Let's just do it with the 10. If I double it, I get 20, and add 3, I get 23. Okay? Let's do this rule. This time, add 3. So let's add 3 first. That's 11. Then while I double it, I get 22. Oh, that's not 19, is it? Okay, so again, obtain the output, add 3. So add 3 to 10, you get 13. Double it, you get 26. So what we're saying is this can't be right. Okay? So let's have a look down here. I think I might have to go back up again. No, it might be on the next page. Okay, so that basically is not going to work, is it? Okay? So let's have a look at this next page. And here it is. So here's a couple of little expressions here. Okay? This one here, this is me taking the x, doubling it, and then adding 3, which was the first way of doing stuff. Okay? That's why you get that. Here, I'm taking the x, I'm adding the 3 first, then I'm doubling it. Okay? Now, for those of you who know the distributive law, okay, so let's look at this. If I have an x plus 3 and I multiply it by 2, I've got to multiply both of these things by 2. Look at this. 2 times an x is 2x. 2 times a 3 is 6. Well, can you see that is not the same as that? All right, look at that. It's almost like we multiply the x by 2, but not the 3. That's why the 3 is still there. So that's why they're two different things. But graphically, again, if you plot the points that I did a couple on the previous page, these are the two graphs, and you can see they're not matching. They're two different graphs. So that's why, let's have a look. So that's why this expression, if I graph it, is not going to be the same as this expression if I graph it. Okay? So the distributive law, if you know it, you can already see, well, I know that that is not going to be the same as the other one, okay, because I know how to do the distributive law. Okay, so let's have a look down here. This is a nice one, and I've filled some of it in already. Okay, how about if we do this? Right, we take an x, we multiply by 2, and then add 10. Okay, so we take an x, we multiply by 2, and then we add 10. All right, so if I do all that, I'm going to get these numbers. Okay, let's just look at any one of these. Supposing I do this one. Okay, easier numbers if you don't like negatives. Okay, if x is 2, well, 2 times 2 is 4. Then you add a 10, you'll get 14. Same with the 5. 2 times 5 is 10. Add a 10, you get 20. That's why all these are fine. Okay, here's a table of values for that. Okay, x multiplied by 2 and add a 10. Now down here, they're going to take an x, add a 5, okay, do that first, and then multiply by 2, okay, and then they'll do that, okay, so that's different. But look, if I do that, let's take this 2 again. Right, if I take the x and I add a 5, I'll get 7. When I double it, I'll get 14. If I take a 5 and add a 5, I'll get 10. When I double it, times 2, I'll get 20. So in other words, I get all the same numbers as I did up here. In other words, it's the same thing. Well, it's the same thing because look, okay, there's the first rule, here's my second rule, okay, which I've written down below. And if I do the distributive law, so in other words, remember, these are supposed to be the same based on the numbers. Watch this. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times 5 is 10. Hence, that's why they're the same thing. So this is kind of an introduction to the distributive law, okay? Then we'll do some more examples as we go on.